Yanis Choupras. So.
On this point of what the United States can do, and most importantly, how? Well, there is no other country but the United Kingdom which can exercise some influence, not to say to a very high degree influence. Is it too much for one to think, or even to propose, that members of parliament here can cooperate more closely with members of the House of Representatives and Senators? Everyone agrees that Turkey has the key. In fact, Mr. Gale went further and pushed the key to the United States itself. Mrs. Villiers said the government here hasn't exercised its influence up to the point that they could. After all, if they wanted to, by now they should have done it. But the 6 months period from now onwards up to the end of the year, everyone agrees is of crucial importance. Can we look forward to some closer cooperation between the members here and the United States of Representatives?
I don't see any other questions, so I'll take just one other question. I see Nikki.
My name is British. I'm a refugee from the village Palekitra in Nicosia district. I have a missing brother and a missing father. I'd like to raise a question about the missing people. They've been taken in the mainland Turkey as prisoners, either civilians or soldiers. We are begging for help from the British government to put pressure on Ankara to give us an answer. What's happened to our loving person? We want their remainings back to us, but we need a closure for this issue. We are living this tragedy for 35 years. This is a humanitarian issue. You have to focus on this and help us. Because in according to evidence, many of our people, they've been disappeared from the mainland Turkey. We need help.
David is keen to answer Nikki's question.
Nikki, I was pleased to meet you earlier and understand. I can't fully understand, but I sympathise with how strongly you and others must feel. I think all three of us here have already been at the request of the Organisation of Relatives of Missing Cypriots in correspondence with government ministers. We've had a not altogether satisfactory reply back from the then Minister, Caroline Flint. We know what the Organisation of Relatives now wants us, in line with what you've said, to put to the new Minister about that. And I certainly feel, I'm sure all of us here will continue raising that important issue with Glenis Kinnock and with other ministers in the UK government for getting the answers from the government of Turkey. So it's an issue that we are already, I think, pursuing quite strongly.
Thank you, David.
Yes, I mean I agree. It's obviously one of the more tragic consequences of the invasion and the events immediately sort of following it. That there is still people waiting for answers on what happened to their loved ones, brothers, fathers, and you have my complete sympathy. And I welcome some of the sort of moves towards extraction of more information about what's happened. But we still haven't had the real truth about what's gone on, and it must be a priority for all your parliamentary friends to keep up the pressure on that. And in terms of links with the United States Congress, so I think it's a great idea, and if you have any sort of suggestions as to particular congressmen and women who might be interested in the Cyprus issue, I'd be delighted if you could send them to me and I could try and set something up on those events.
Teresa, is there anything you'd like to add?
Just two very brief points. If Turkey seeks to join a group of civilised nations, as the European Union considers itself to be, then it has to reach out to the relatives and friends of the missing people and do everything it can to bring succour after 35 years. And I would have thought that this will be, if you like, one of the very early tests of how seriously Turkey takes its application for membership, because without changes to recognise the humanitarian concerns of the missing people's relatives, I don't think it can really take itself much further in terms of becoming a member of the European club, if I can call it that. In relation to an interesting point, because for my sins, I sit on, or have sat in the past, on the British American Parliamentary Group, and one of the things we organise is every year we either go over there or they come over here, and some years it's senators and some years it's Congress people, as I should call them, and we have a huge agenda of all sorts of interlinking issues, and it is extremely helpful to share good ideas. And one of the interesting things, when I first started going to it, which is now many years ago, almost all American legislators were completely of the view that global warming was not a human-related process. That has changed, and I think the dialogue between UK parliamentarians and American parliamentarians played a small part in achieving that. Now, I wouldn't suggest that we should meet in that sort of forum, but bringing together American legislators with British legislators who have an interest in Cyprus or the Eastern Mediterranean, or even, frankly, Turkey, would be an entirely positive process, because it would lead to greater understanding, and hopefully it might filter back both to the American Congress and to the British Parliament. And yes, it would only be a small step, but it would be a small positive step that, along with lots of other small positive steps, might begin to make a difference.
Thank you very much, Andy.